Happy New Year's and welcome back to Football Watch 90. Today the topic is going to be grip socks. Now I have a couple of questions that I want us to just answer at the end of the video, which are grip socks necessary? Does it make a difference? What do they do? What are the drawbacks? And should you buy grip socks? So let's get started. Initially I want to start with this soccer or football socks, which are very generic, right? I'm sure that everyone has experience with this kind of socks that usually in your school or in your club they provide you with something very inexpensive, and this is polyester spandex type of material that just feels not inspiring at all. They feel just terrible on your skin. And also the worst part is that when you're wearing them, these things are so thin that you might be training, for example, on a day-to-day with socks like this, right? These are cotton, they're thick, and you might be wearing this for training with your team or whatnot. And then when it comes to the day of the game, you're gonna put this thin socks on your foot, and then when you put your football boot on, they fit differently, they feel different when you run, especially when you're cutting in. Really, this doesn't offer anything. So sometimes this stuff really brings your performance down as a player. So yes, we are very familiar with this kind of socks. I'm pretty sure everybody has something to say about this. But moving on, what big companies like Nike, Adidas, whatnot, what they have moved into when you go into the pro is that they give you the same kind of design, but now they're trying to offer more comfort, especially here in the sole of your foot. Now this is where you start to see, and if you actually feel them, that these are thicker and they're padded in certain areas because they want you to feel comfortable with these socks on. You can see what they look like. And this little change of colors here, those two balls, for example, one of them is supposed to represent the ball of your foot and then that other area around it. So they're trying to show you that they're putting some effort into how they're designing this, so there's comfort for you and you don't have to wear different pair of socks under this. So what a lot of players have been doing for years now is that because these socks are really not comfortable and they don't wear these socks to training, which is something that also counts, because if you don't wear this to training, the feel of wearing this sock with your boots is gonna feel different, because when you're wearing this, it's not the same as wearing this. So what a lot of professional players were doing was cutting this off, that way they can wear the socks they were wearing while they were training, because they're comfortable, they're used to this feeling, and then they would just put this on top and wear it like so. That brings us to this athletic or football socks, right? Notice that a lot of athletes have brands or companies that are making socks specifically for their sports. For example, if you're into playing the football or NFL kind of football, right, the American type, there are companies who are targeting those players, and I'm pretty sure that the socks just perform the same way. They are built in this similar fashion, but they just kind of targeted towards those players. However, I think the main thing here is that athletic socks are built in a way that they're gonna be compressive on your feet, that they're really gonna hug on your foot, and you're not gonna feel a lot of movement or uncomfortable spots in the sock. If you compare it to this, there are a lot of times that if this part of the, let's say your foot is smaller to what this very generic shape of the sock was, your heel might end here, and then you see the way that this is constructed, it will go right by the Achilles tendon and it will look funky. So obviously I think that even though athletics are concerned about their performance, they don't want to look goofy out in the field. So obviously this is the reason also people just don't like this stuff. And when it comes to this comfortable, well-fitting socks, you want to keep that consistency from training to an actual game. So obviously what happens with this is that there's a lot of cushioning, they compress on your feet a lot, and they just fit a lot better than something like this, because again, this is just like a generic foot shape or size, and you still have the same issues with something like this. So obviously there are benefits to having specific socks that are going to be for playing and that you're going to be using in training, that you can kind of translate the performance and feel into an actual game. So now that moves us to grip socks. The reason that grip socks were created is because you still might have slippage going on between your foot and the insole inside the boot. So now we have the introduction of these rubbery or sticky elements inside the sock, and this is very helpful. Again, it's gonna prevent a little slippage inside the shoe. So what they do is go from something that's targeted towards athletes that's gonna hug your foot very well, and now you add the sticky material. So now you have that extra sort of comfort level that your foot's not gonna move, and you can now have more focus in the game rather than thinking about how silly or how much slippage there is in your foot. The reason that you don't want your foot to slip, I think a lot of you know it, you want to avoid blisters, because when you get blisters on the foot on your foot, basically it hurts like hell, and it takes I don't know how many days for that to heal and recover. But then now you're also not focused on the match, and obviously when you're playing you want to perform your best and you want to have your mind fully engaged in the match. So this is really helping to solve that problem. Now the question is, do you really need grip socks? And the answer is a yes, but a no. So why do I say that? Well, when I was trying the Puma Ultra, those shoes in a size 10 fit very snug. They were very comfortable to have on my feet. They had like a vacuum seal, so it really felt like it was like adjusted perfectly to my foot. But like I mentioned, it was too snug. And when I was actually trying those shoes on with these socks, there was no complaints in terms of how well they fit around my foot. However, when I did try them on with grip socks, these sticky elements on the grip socks, they add volume to your foot. So with that said, if a soccer boot fits you snug and perfect without the grip socks, this is gonna add volume and they might be a little too tight. So that's two things to consider, is that if it fits snug, it's gonna hold your foot on place. It's gonna hold your foot in place better, and you don't really need to have grip socks. Simple socks like this that already cushioned and comfortable should do the work, should do the job. But grip socks are kind of like an overkill. Like I said, it's not really necessary in that case. Now, for example, the Speed Portal, I felt there was more room in that shoe when I tried it on. So of course I didn't have any issues to wear these socks with them. But once I put the grip socks, I felt that there was more compression on my foot because of the added volume. So, you know, you just have to try on your shoes with and without grip socks and kind of make that judgment call whether it is necessary to have them or it isn't necessary to have them. Nowadays, what I do notice from a lot of boot companies like Adidas, let's go back to the example, the Speed Portal. The Speed Portal has a synthetic suede lining on the heel counter, and I noticed when I was inspecting the inside of the upper, they also have that same synthetic suede lining inside the shoe. And the same way that on the heel counter is supposed to avoid a lot of slippage in your heel, it's also doing that same with your foot inside. You don't feel any slippage. You don't feel any slippage at all. So I think that that sort of problem about your foot sliding and slipping around inside the boot is being solved by many boot companies, and we don't even realize it. Because look at the Future Z Ultra that Puma has released, or it's releasing this year in 2023. I watched the review or the unboxing review from Unisport from J Mike, and he was actually saying something similar to what I'm saying about the Adidas Speed Portal. Inside the lining of the shoe, they have this very grippy like texture that's really making your foot feel like it's locked into the boot. So I think that if you don't really inspect your boots, we don't realize that these companies are actually trying to solve that issue, because they want you to feel like this shoe is perfect. It holds my foot in place. And in a way, it's the way that they're making sure that you want to move towards that brand. You know, you want to buy the Pumas rather than the Nikes, rather than the New Balance, rather than Adidas, because everyone says that the shoe holds your foot in place when you're playing, and they're really removing that complaint. So the less complaints there are, the more willing you are to spend your money on something where people are really raving about this certain product. So once again, grip socks, are they necessary? Well, I think it's a good thing to have in your soccer equipment. For example, I said that for a long time I was using the Nike Premier. Those are leather boots, and the first time I tried those boots on, they fit very snug and perfectly. But after wearing them for a couple of times, the leather stretches, and once you start to cut in, you definitely feel the leather stretch once you do those movements, and your foot doesn't stay in place quite as well as you did in the beginning. So I was having that kind of issue with the shoe, and the solution was getting grip socks. And I got this from Pure Grip Socks from Josh from Soccer Reviews for You. I bought them, and when I put them on with my shoe, again, it increased the volume inside of the boot, which was very helpful to make the boot feel snug, but it also eliminated the slippage around inside the boot. So it killed two birds with one stone, and definitely I say it's a good thing to have. It definitely has its positives for your performance, and if you don't need them, then you can always just go back to just regular athletic socks. And the good thing is that nowadays the trend is that you can just wear the regular socks you're wearing today on practice, and a lot of companies are doing this. They sell you the top sleeve of the kit sock, of the sock that you're gonna wear with your kit, so you can just keep wearing the same sock for training. Once it's game day, you still put them on, but then you put the sleeve on, and ta-da, magic, you have your uniform on. So the helpful thing about this kind of trends and products is that you're gonna have consistency in how it feels to wear your boots. And of course, you want to eliminate as many problems as you can when it comes to your mental focus and just how you perceive just the match on that game day. Because if you're thinking that your boot felt comfortable during training, and now game day it's slipping a lot and you're uncomfortable, you're not going to perform as well. So I do recommend just to have them around. So again, those are just my thoughts on socks. When it comes to football, I'm sure you guys had some knowledge on this, but I hope that I perhaps helped enlighten some of you who didn't, or were wondering what is this and what's the point of it, and does it help. So fortunately, I feel that Josh from Soccer Reviews for You started this kind of market where he started selling grip socks for a lot cheaper. Rather than paying 50 or more for one pair of socks, you can actually pay, I think, around $17 for one. And it's very economical, but it's also very helpful, and the quality is not bad at all. I had this for over a year, and I had 3 pairs of them actually, so I was able to get 3 pairs of these and 3 pairs of the sleeves, and they have held pretty well, and I'm very happy with this product. So I do think that that's a good option for you, the pure grip socks, or just find different brand that you think is more economical for you, because like I said, now there are many brands who are selling grip socks at an affordable price, and you don't have to pay 50 bucks for one pair of socks. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.